Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the weekly Tottenham news review. I'm leader Dorset Spur and I'm here to give you my opinion on all the stories making the headlines over the last 7 days. Give you the opportunity to voice your opinion in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Do you believe I'm on the right lines, or have you got a totally different opinion to me? Doesn't matter, everyone's entitled to theirs. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, especially about football, because it differs so much from so many different people. Anyway, fair few bits and pieces to talk about this week. But the first one I wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to raise, was this week, the General turned 90. That's right, Keith Birkinshaw, the legendary manager from the 1980s, turned 90 years of age. What an absolute unbelievable man that man is. Even at 90, he still looks as fit as a fiddle. And if I look anything like him at 90, in fact, if I looked anything like him, his fitness, even when I'm 70, I'd be really grateful, because the guy looks outstanding. For those young people that don't really know anything about Keith Birkinshaw, he was our legendary manager from the 1980s, the man who won us 2 FA Cups, 81 and 82, and also the Europa League, as in the UEFA Cup, in 1984. Absolute brilliant man. One of the reasons why I fell in love with Tottenham Hotspur, the style of play and the attitude of the club at that time, bringing over Osvaldo Ardiles and Ricky Villa straight from the World Cup, the first World Cup that I can remember, actually, 1978. Really big thing back then. When you look at all the foreign players that grace the fields around the Premier League now, it's hard to believe that back then this was something really revolutionary, getting these guys to come over. And obviously inspires the song Aussie's Dream and Aussie's Going to Wembley and so on, all inspired by the fact that, players from all around the world were really still interested in the FA Cup and wanted it on their bucket list of things to win. Bit of a shame of how the FA Cup is viewed today, when you consider that's only sort of 40 years ago, but things move on, I guess. So big happy birthday shout out to Keith Birkinshaw. I'm not one for getting starstruck, if I'm being honest with you. I've never really kind of got that, fanboy thing, but I have to say I met Keith Birkinshaw at Fleet Services on the way back from a match one day, and he I think he was just coming from the restrooms or whatever with his wife, and one of the guys who was with me, Jason, he spotted him and said, "Oh, hey Keith," because he met him at a Legends evening, and we went over and said hello, and I was absolutely starstruck, and that's the only time that's ever happened to me where I felt starstruck. He had this aura around him, just made me smile, and I said to him then, "You're the reason that I supported Tottenham," and I thanked him for the glory days of the 80s. Very nice man. And like I say, 90 years of age, still looking as fit as a fiddle, and fair play to him. Long may it continue. Let's hope he gets to the big 100 for sure. Okay, so what else has been going on this week? Well, of course, it's the transfer window, isn't it? It's the summer transfer window, and of course, all the talk is all about transfers. Every kind of time you switch on any kind of social media, every player is being linked with Tottenham at the moment. We want to sign everyone and anyone, but the one that's kind of got the big feels like a little bit different from all of the others is Kota Takai. Now, I did a little video about this on my own channel, and my opinion hasn't really changed. I guess this is a deal for someone, again, no Premier League experience, very young, cheap fee, coming from a lower league and so on. So sounds really perfect for a Daniel Levy plan, and kind of fits straight into that scenario, doesn't it? But of course, this may be slightly different from that. Looking at some of the other stuff that's been going around, he does look a decent player. He's tall, he's strong, good at bringing the ball out, can score as well, headers and stuff like that. So it looks like, you know, he has a lot more first team experience maybe than your Lucas Bergvals, or even maybe your Archie Grays. He's played for his national team as well. So maybe a little bit different from the idea of those, and maybe he is someone that would likely come into the squad and be part of that overall squad. The disappointing thing about that is it does still smack of a Levyism, cheap, easy deal type thing. Whereas us as fans are all crying out for a big name, a statement signing. Daniel Levy, you know, in his loving with his CEO, talking about, you know, we want to win the Premier League, we want to win the Champions League, and that. Well, is Kota Takai the man who's going to make that difference? Maybe we don't know. You know, we don't know how good he could be for us. You know, we hadn't heard of Mickey van der Ven until he came and showed us what he can do. So, you know, you just don't know with this sort of deal, but it just does smack of Levy all over, and not necessarily taking us to that next level. Bearing in mind we have Champions League football next season. So, I don't know, very up in the air, kind of mixed feelings about it. I love seeing the idea of young players coming in and building for the future and future-proofing the squad and that. I do like that. I'm not going to say I don't like that. But at the same time, I do really want to see us making some real moves to go in that direction of building on what Ange Postecoglou has done. You know, we've won a trophy. We're now in the Champions League. We've got to maintain that now. You've got to at least get into the top four next season to maintain that, or win the Champions League, which, you know, seems very unlikely. You look at the likes of Liverpool spending big money, Man United spending big money, Chelsea spending big money, Arsenal getting some targets in, Man City spending like they don't have 115 charges against them. You know, it's just crazy that the money that's being spent by those teams, and we are being linked with, we haven't even signed him yet, Kota Takai for £5 million. You can make up your own mind about that, can't you? You know, how does that look? So kind of moving on really from that deal and keeping in the same thing, we're now seeing that Eze is being linked with Arsenal, and it's like, we've been linked with this guy for 2 seasons now, and nothing seems to be happening. No conversations really seem to be happening. It's all very quiet, hush hush under the carpet. Little bits of, Fabrizio Romano saying, you know, Tottenham love Eze and all this sort of business, but nothing concrete is yet. Nothing's really been discussed. Well, if they love him so much and they want him so much, why is nothing being discussed? You know, it just smacks of another one of those. And I guess let's go on to the next one with Mbeumo. They're kind of teasing us. It feels like it's a tease game, isn't it? It's all that. So it takes you back to the Rivaldo days. Oh yeah, we had interest, but you know, just didn't quite work or whatever. And that's where we're at with these deals. You know, you can see it as we've got all this interest in him, and all of a sudden, income Arsenal. You know, there's the 70 million you're looking for. Sign him straight up, easy deal. And then you've got Mbeumo, where we're being told, oh, it's not all done. It's not all signed, sealed and delivered for him to go to Man United. You know, there is the pull of coming to Tottenham and linking up with Thomas Frank and all the rest of it. Only for that to now get pulled away as well and told, oh, well, no, not, you know, Man United have upped their deal. And so it's a difficult one for us. We're not really going to make... It's the same old story. It's the same old... cloak and dagger nonsense that Daniel Levy and the board pull, where they're kind of giving us all this, oh yeah, you know, we've got this ambition and that, and we're really trying hard, we're working hard to make these things happen, and they don't quite happen. Sorry, I don't always buy it. I don't buy it. You know, we had 20 odd years of this, and I'm yet to see a real statement signing coming that's going to take us to the next level. Most of our superstars have been superstars that we've developed ourselves, or we've been lucky that have come through the academy. You know, the likes of the likes of Harry Kane, even Gareth Bale. You know, had a really difficult start and then turned into this fantastic player despite Tottenham rather than because of Tottenham. You know, and it's just really, really annoying to feel like this again. And this is my whole point about, you know, Ange going. And I'm not debating the league position or whatever. But my point around this is he did what he needed to do to achieve some of the targets he needed to achieve, right? So winning a trophy, getting back into the Champions League, those were targets which he's managed to do, okay? But when you're in the Champions League, that then says you need to spend some serious cash because this squad is nowhere near going to do any business like that. So you need to invest serious cash. So as soon as Ange asking for serious investment, of course, then he gets moved on because, you know, well, you didn't compete on all fronts. Well, bearing in mind you gave him the players that he was expected to attack all fronts with, so you have a responsibility, and now you've got this new guy in who needs to assess the squad again to see who he wants to keep and who he doesn't want to keep and who can go and who can stay and all the rest of it, which delays the whole buying of ready now players that can really improve the squad. And of course, then what really then hits you home is when Southampton released a statement saying that Kyle Walker-Peters is going to be a free agent at the end of June, and of course straight away he's linked with Tottenham. Now I've got nothing against Kyle Walker-Peters. I think he's a decent player. I was surprised really when we sold him to Southampton in the first place because I thought he was decent. I actually thought he was better than Kieran Trippier personally. I thought he had a bit more opportunity in him. Never got that chance. Went off to Southampton, done pretty well. But if Southampton don't want to keep him, why would you say that he should come to Tottenham, who are going into the Champions League and competing in the Champions League? He's not good enough for a championship club, but all of a sudden, because of his finance and being cheap as chips, he can come back into Tottenham. And for me, it just smacks of another rinse and repeat scenario that we've been going through for the last 20 plus years. So yeah, I absolutely fed up with it. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of the transfer windows anyway, because it's all full of rumour and innuendo, and you don't really know what's going on. So until the player is holding up the shirt, then I don't know whether they're coming or going. But of course, what we really need to do is get the players in early, because we see the benefits of them coming in early to be able to, you know, get into the squad, galvanise with their colleagues and learn about everything and that, so that they hit the ground running when the season starts. Alas, that doesn't feel like that's going to happen again. They are talking about Romero again. This one really annoys me as well, because we're talking about a Romero not available for a cut price fee to Atletico Madrid and all the rest of it, and Tottenham are valuing him at like 60 million, and I'm like, are you mental? 60 million, where does that figure come from? The guy is a World Cup winner. He's just won the Europa League. He's one of the best defenders in the world, and he's being touted around at 60 million. Like, really? Like 60 million? I think that's too cheap. I think he's a £100 million defender, and if anyone wants him, then that's what they should pay for him. There's no way that he should be valued at like 60 million quid. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I know he's had his issues with, injury, and he's had his issues with discipline, although that seems to have got a lot better. But again, with a player of that quality, £60 million is just nonsense. When you're talking about, Eze, 70 million quid, and and Mbeumo, how much he's worth, and how much he could get paid, and all the rest of it. It's like, I honestly, this transfer stuff is beyond me and baffles me totally. And I'll tell you something else that really baffles me is they're now saying that Spurs have no cash. We've got no cash, dangerously low on cash. We've still got £250 million in unpaid transfer fees still to pay because of the way we structure our deals and so on and so forth, which is leaving us with no cash because Enoch and Daniel Levy were talking about getting some investment in. We haven't had that investment, so there's no cash available. Now, what I honestly, I get baffled with it because I think to myself, well, if you've structured the deals to pay out £250 million, then clearly you must have budgeted for that. And you budget ahead. So if you know you've got to pay that off at that time and that off at that time, then you budget your income to account for that. You don't then say, oh, we're a bit short now. What should we do? I don't know. What we'll sell all our players and buy some other players that are cheaper just to balance it. Come on, that can't be right. That can't be right. We've got, NFL and concerts going. I mean, there's more concerts going on there than anything. I mean, you had Beyonce there the other week. You got, who's the other one who's coming up? Is it 50 Cent or someone, or Chris Brown or someone like that? Like, there's concerts there every other day. You can't tell me they're not charging them to put those concerts on. You've got all the food and drink that must be getting sold there. You've got all the concessions. You've got all the stuff in the shop and that. I mean, I saw a video of this Beyonce thing with all the cowboy hats and all the T-shirts and God knows what, all in the Tottenham Hotspur shop. So there must be money being made out of that, surely. And yet we're not able to spend anything until we sell players. I mean, what are you doing with that money then, Daniel? Where's that going? Because we've got all this headroom to be able to spend, but we haven't got the cash to spend. Make it make sense. I honestly don't get it. I mean, perhaps some of that money's going to Scott Munn, because apparently he's now on gardening leave, and we're paying him to sit at home and twiddle his thumbs. What a great job that is! I wouldn't mind a piece of that. And sit there on gardening leave, getting paid to do fuck all. When some might argue that that's been his job since he joined, because he don't seem to have done anything. I mean, I'm not sure what he did. I'm not sure what he achieved. What deal did he do? What impact did he have? What is his legacy of what he did? And how much are we paying him to sit at home and do nothing? It just seems a crazy scenario. And then talking about money, we haven't got the money to buy players. However, we have got money to start the hotel build, which has started this week. Someone sent me a picture. They were doing a skywalk and sent a picture in of work being done on that site, and it's like, okay. Now I do know, if I'm being a little bit facetious, because I do know that the building part of the business, Tottenham Hotspur, is structured differently from the football side and so on. There are multiple, so you've got Tottenham Hotspur and you've got multiple companies underneath dealing with different aspects of what they do. So I do get it that the hotel finance is not coming from the transfer budget, but it does smack of, well, if you can raise the money for to build a hotel, surely you can finance the money to buy some decent players, surely, because at the same time as the hotel build starting, we've now put the planning application in for building of, I think it's something like 3 blocks of flats or something along those lines, 3-4 blocks of flats, which will go on the other side of the concourse, the big bit at the south stand that comes out like it's got to be like a massive patio, isn't it? So at the far side of that, you've got some flats going in, and then at this side next to the shop, you've got the hotel going in. Now again, I like to be clear, I'm not against any of that stuff, right? The area needs some decent housing. It needs some much needed apartments and stuff like that around there, and it would be good for the area because it's a very, very poor area. I'm sure none of the locals will be getting into those places, but there you go. So I'm not against it. I make sense, and if you can sell those flats for good money and that brings in finance, or you can rent those flats out as part of a deal, same as the hotel part of the package, You know, you come and stay at the hotel, do the sky walk, watch a match, and all the rest of it. And that all comes in, and that's all part of the finance that goes into the club, because this is where this financial fair play stuff all comes from, is how much money you generate. So if you're generating from concerts, you're generating from NFL, you're generating from rugby, you're generating from a hotel, you're generating from apartments or whatever, then that should all then be available as part of your overall package to say that we are, you know, able to support ourselves. We're self-sufficient. We don't need, you know, to sell our women's team to ourselves to earn enough money to be fair. Just saying. So yeah, I'm not against it, but it just feels like, you know, you're announcing all this kind of stuff at a time when I'm not interested as a football fan. You know, I don't want to know that. I want to know what the direction of my football club is. You've just dismissed the bloke who's won us a trophy after 17 years to bring in someone who's never won a trophy. And you're going to not give Ange any money, so you're going to give it to this guy. But what you're currently offering up is Kota Takai and nothing else, and it just all doesn't sit right. And that sounds like I'm having a go about Thomas Frank. I'm not. Thomas Frank is the manager. I'll support him absolutely, but he needs tools as well as Ange needed tools. You know, he needs to be able to do the job, and you need to give him enough to be able to do it. Now he may go on and be the best manager that we've ever had since the general, and I'm all in. I'm happy for that. But until it happens, we don't know it happens, right? But he still has to be supported, and all of this stuff doesn't feel like he's being supported. Feels a little bit depressing, if I'm being honest. And I'm sorry if I'm making this a depressing video. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to give a responsible view of where it feels like we're at, rather than, you know, force everything's a rosy in the garden. You know, we've got this guy in, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it doesn't feel like that for me personally. One good thing to build on, I guess, is the release of the new away kit. For those of you that are mad about kits and really love buying all the new kit and having the new kit and stuff. Me personally, I don't generally buy the kits. If anything, my kids will buy it for me for birthdays, Christmas, Father's Day, that sort of thing. So I do have them, but I don't ever buy them myself. So they released a new one, a new away kit, and actually, if I'm being honest, it's pretty nice. I quite like it. It's black. It's got a little bit of a check in it and everything. But for the connoisseurs of that kind of thing, you know, be a nice T-shirt to wear away when you're on your holidays in the summer. So that was released as well. They've made a big thing about that and everything. So yeah, I mean, if you're really into it, you know, they are a bit of a steep price, but I think 80 odd quid for a T-shirt and 125 quid for the elite one. I believe that there are other avenues people can take to acquire these shirts. I'm not personally endorsing any of those. That's up to you. But they are a lot of money these days, aren't they? Football shirts. So one of the reasons why I don't really partake in them, if I'm being honest. But yeah, so you got the new home shirt and the new away shirt out. So just in time for your summer holidays, or if you can hold off long enough, maybe for Christmas. You know, never know, kids and grandkids and all that kind of stuff. And the final bit of news, the final kind of a headline that kind of jumped a little bit out of me today was it's being reported that the MLS are looking for Ange Postecoglou maybe to go to LA. I'll be honest. I'd be surprised if Ange went to America yet. I think, yeah, okay, it's an emerging market, it's an emerging league, and so on. But having just won the Europa League, I think Andrew's got a bit more opportunity likely coming his way within Europe. Maybe not in the Premier League, but certainly around Europe. I think he's not done his stock any harm at all. I think, you know, a Greek team, you know, your Olympiakos, your Panathinaikos, or the big big Greek teams may well be interested. Germany may be an opportunity to kind of go there. They like to take on coaches and stuff like that. So that kind of, you know, I don't think he would. I don't think he's going to walk into a big Spanish team or a big Italian team or whatever. But I think, you know, somewhere in Europe, I think there's still opportunity for him. So I'd be very surprised if he went to America. But listen, if he did, I'm sure he'd pick up something in his second season because he says he does. He does. I just hope that Ange gets something to keep him in football, because I think he's a real proper football character, and I'd like to see him do well and prove the haters wrong. But time will tell from that point of view. Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching if you've got this far. Just to say, if you don't subscribe to Chris's channel, please do consider giving that a subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it is really helpful to the channel to help it grow. Of course, if you subscribe to the channel, you will be able to see all the other good videos that Chris puts out. Lots of live shows, lots of fan shows, 60-second updates, and so on. Then you've got the watch-alongs with Barnaby, and the daily news updates with Craig and so on. So there's a lot going on the channel, so worth giving it a subscribe. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you've got a different opinion to me, or you want to just comment on my opinion, please feel free to leave those comments in the comment section below. We do kind of read those and gauge how people feel. On the last video, someone commented about my t-shirt, so as you'll notice, I put on a grey bluey t-shirt today, just because I didn't want to upset anybody by wearing fuchsia. But there you go. So I do read the comments. So yeah. So anyway, listen, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. And as ever, up the Spurs.